Hey folks, in this video I'm going to be talking about psychology. We've talked about this before, but in this video I want to uncover, get a little bit deeper into it, dig a little bit deeper into why you sabotage, why you continue to repeat the same mistakes. And I'm going to be giving you solutions about how to overcome it as well. Okie dokie. So I'm sure all of you have heard the statistic, 90% of traders fail, right? But more than likely, it's a lot higher than that, a lot higher than 90%. And a large part of that is because of psychology, is because of traders defeat themselves. They get in their own way, right? Okay, so the root cause. Because most traders that struggle with psychology, there's different buckets traders fall into, okay? You have the trader that they'll have a strategy. They'll start trading a specific strategy, and they might be doing fine to start off, but then whenever they're hit with like a few losses in a row, that doubt starts to creep in, right? Doubt starts to creep in, and then they want to change it up. They want to go to something else. They want to try a different strategy now, and we call that shiny object syndrome. Then they'll go on YouTube, they'll go to the next holy grail, the next holy grail, the next holy grail. There's no fucking holy grail, but they're always looking for that next holy grail, that next thing that's just going to change it for them, and that doesn't exist because they're not addressing the real issue here. Okay, it's not the strategy. Sometimes it is. Again, sometimes because not everything's an edge, but you can give this individual, here's the thing, you could give this individual that has this issue the best strategy in the world, right? You give them something like candle confirmation, for example, my candle confirmation model, that is just one of the best things out there. And they're still going to mess it up if you have this issue, because they're not addressing the real problem here. And then you have the individual that just, trades big, right? The individual that trades big, that goes full degen, and they'll have the same issue. Like, they'll have a few losses in a row, and then they'll just up their size. They will do what we call that revenge trading, trying to recoup their losses, and we know where that leads to. Nowhere good, right? Blown up accounts and a lot of money lost. And the same thing, like whenever you have traders that'll go on a winning streak, they'll be doing real good, they'll be racking it up, doing so good, doing so great, consistent. And then they'll get too cocky, right? They'll get too cocky. The ego blows up. And whenever that ego blows up, what typically follows is what? They start trading bigger size. They start taking wild risks because they feel invincible. Checkmate. You're done. All right? And then you also have traders, which just kind of falls into the previous that I was just talking about a second ago, where they'll sabotage. They'll be doing great. They're consistent. But then for whatever reason, they just decide to throw it all away, right? They just do something stupid. They were so consistent, then they just decide to do something stupid outside of their plan. And then it just continues to snowball into something bigger. And then before they know it, they're just trading like a complete degen, right? They're just not focused on their plan at all. So number one, you need to uncover the root cause of why you do this. Because if you ignore the root cause, then you're never going to change. You're never going to make progress in the right direction. The biggest reason that traders fail in regards to psychology is it all comes back to a lack of patience. And that's the biggest reason. Okay. We're going to dig a little bit deeper because there's other stuff to talk about as well. But when you trade big, what does that come down to? Yeah, like you're not managing risks. Everybody says lack of risk management is what ruins traders, and that's true. But that lack of risk management, it comes from lack of patience, right? From traders trying to rush the process. You're trading big. You're skipping paper trading. You're skipping all the steps that you should be doing, the back test and the everything, because you want results quick. You want results right away. Deny it all you want, but that's what it is. Whenever you are hit with drawdown, a few losses. I was talking about the individual that's always switches up, that has shiny object syndrome, right? That's lack of patience too. You don't have the patience to build out a drawdown. You don't have the patience to endure those losses, to slowly build out of it. So you would rather switch up your system completely, go to a new shiny object that's going to present you that linear profit curve that you desire so much it doesn't exist, because you want those because you just cannot accept having a few losses. You cannot accept seeing that P&L go down, because we've all been there. I've been there too, where this happens to so many traders. You'll be doing good, right? You'll be doing good. You're consistent. You're making strides and progress, and you feel like you're on it, but then you sabotage. You sabotage, right? You'll be doing everything you should be doing, but then it's like out of nowhere, somebody else takes the driver's seat. Somebody else steps in, and it's like you went on autopilot. And then you look up later, after you cause the damage, you look up and like, what the fuck did I just do, right? What the fuck did I just do? Why did I, like, how did I go off course so much? That just self-sabotaging yourself whenever you're doing good. I made a post about this recently too, digging into this. And everything you do to your core of human nature, it comes down to feelings. You're seeking a feeling. Okay. So what I mean by that is whenever because you're used to a certain pattern. There's a certain pattern in your brain that you're used to, that you're going to gravitate to. So for example, you can have an individual that says they want to be a profitable trader. They want that consistency. They want financial freedom. They want to leave their job. Let's say they want all these things. They want to retire your family. They want to travel the world. And of course, to obtain this, you need to be disciplined. You need to be patient. You need to be consistent, doing the same thing day in, day out, repeating the same boring process day in, day out. Everybody knows this. Like, we've all heard it a million fucking times, right? Like, you know what you need to do, but then doing it is just a completely different story. And why? Why is that the case? Like, if you know you should be doing this and you were making strides in that direction, why would you do something as stupid as like throwing that away, right? Because we've all been there. I've been there too. When I was first starting off, I had the same issue. So like, why do we sabotage? Why do we go in a different direction? It's because you're used to a certain feeling. And I'm going to expand on that. Being profitable, being consistent is outside of your comfort zone. You're not used to it. So whenever you are met with consistency, whenever you are doing what you should be doing, whenever you're following the plan, whenever you're starting to make those strides in the right direction, that's unknown territory for you. That's something that you have not done before as a trader. And whenever you do that, you're met with emotions that you are not used to, that you have not come in contact with before. And whenever that happens, there's an inner conflict because you're not used to it. It's uncomfortable. So you can say that you want that consistency, but then when you are met with those emotions that you're not used to in the unknown, that's why you sabotage. And somebody might say, that sounds ridiculous. Like, why would I not like that? Like, why would I not like the emotions that are connected to consistency, that are connected to following my plan, to doing what I should do? Because you're not used to it. You could say you want that, but you're just not used to it. Like, this is a lie you tell yourself, but you identify more with the previous because you've been in that same pattern. You've been in that same pattern, repeating that same pattern in your brain over and over and over and over again. You see these folks, we see them on social media all the time. Like, they're just blowing up account, like prop firm account after prop firm account after prop firm account. It's like these folks have an addiction. They have an addiction to losing. And I say that not to, dog on these folks, but it's very obvious. Like, they're used to that. It's familiar misery. So you might say you don't want that. All of them will say they don't want that. They'll say they want to be consistent. Every single one of those folks will say they want to be consistent. But then why do their actions say something else? If you wanted to be consistent, you would manage risk. If you wanted to be consistent, you would follow the plan. If you really wanted that to your core, you would do so. But your subconscious has a different thing in mind. Your subconscious has something else that it is seeking. Those feelings, that familiar misery, you've been replaying that same process in your brain over and over and over and over again. It's easily predictable. It's predictable. And we like what we can predict. We don't like what is, as I just said a second ago, in the unknown. Those feelings that are associated with staying the course, staying the plan, staying disciplined. That's the unknown. You're not used to that. And when you're not used to it, that's why you sabotage and you revert back to what's comfortable, back to your familiar misery, because you can predict that outcome. Like you're used to it. Your brain is used to it. You have a pattern that's been set. And that's why these folks continue to sabotage, continue to mess up, continue to blow up accounts, and they stay in this loop most folks never break out of that loop. It's because they stay there because they're just used to that. So they can say they want one thing, but their actions say something else. So what's the solution, right? Because like I just told y'all, like I've been there too. It ain't like I just, woke up one day pulling in, just out of nowhere, pulling in back-to-back 6-figure months, just a fucking machine, all right? I've been there too. Now, granted, I only blew up one account and I learned from my mistakes and I started to make strides in the right direction. It wasn't like it was just straight up from there. I still had plenty of setbacks, plenty of days where I was like, what's going on here, right? Where I felt lost. It wasn't like straight up from that, but I started to make strides in the right direction, but it was a work in process. Okay. Because the same thing that I was just telling you about the self-sabotage, I was in that same place too. So how did I get over that? How did I overcome that and start to be consistently profitable? Because if you don't, as I say, if you do not address the what's really going on here, then you're bound to completely just continue to repeat the same mistakes. And that's what we do. Like, that's what we just did. Like, I'm telling you why you continue to sabotage. I'm telling you why you do what you do, why you, you should be doing one thing, but why do you do another? That's why, because you're used to it. You're just used to that feeling that comes with it, that feeling that comes from losing. You're familiar with that. So, and this is why you have folks that can do back testing. I've gotten flack before when I've said back testing won't make you profitable, and so many people lose their shit. Now, I'm not saying back testing is not helpful. It 100% is, and it's essential to building strong psychology. But I'm going to tell you this. I know plenty of folks that have back tested, that'll back test their eyes till their eyes are bleeding, right? And they still fail when they get into the market real time. They still fail when it's game time. So why? Why have they done all this back testing when they have these numbers? They have these code hard numbers in front of them telling them, hey, if you do this, you're going to be profitable long term. They have those numbers in front of them. So why do they still mess up? That's a lot of folks. That is a lot, right? Why does that happen? For the reason I just told you. Yeah, like lack of patience, all that stuff, right? Yeah, lack of patience. Trying to rush the process. But they're also they're just used to losing. And they're familiar with it. So here are the steps to mastering strong psychology. Okay. Like I told you, I want to dig a little bit deeper into the root cause in this video, but still, you need to back test. That is still essential. Don't get it twisted. You need to back test. At least 6 months of data. The more the better for your system, for your strategy. Because it does do a lot for you in developing that long-term perspective. Because as a trader, you need a long-term perspective. You need to understand the law of large numbers, and back testing helps you with that, because you can see right there in front of you. You don't got to do back testing, by the way. You can do forward testing as well. Right? So folks that say, I don't got a back testing platform, I don't know what to do, just forward test. Open up a Google Excel and forward test. Okay. Track your wins, track your losses with your strategy. And just by day to day, just forward test your strategy. You can do that too if you don't want to back test. Both achieve the same objective. Of course, forward testing just takes a bit longer. But you need the data because that's going to show you, it's going to help you develop that long-term perspective to see, oh, hold up. Okay, I got losses in here, right? I got losses in here. I have losing streaks in here. Draw down a capital. But if I was to keep executing this exact system, the numbers tell me I'm coming out on top. I'm coming out on top long term. I'm going to win long term. You might lose a few battles in there, a few trades in there, but if you keep executing, you're coming out top long term. And having those numbers, it does help you. It does help you. It does a lot for your psychology. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's not everything. But it needs to be done. Number 2, you need to trade small, right? Yeah, you're going to have that urge to not trade small, which a lot of traders do because, as I said, they lack patience. They want results right away. But you need to trade small. If you're starting off and you haven't found consistency yet, now, number 1, you should be paper trading first. But after your paper trading is done and you have at least, like you have that track record of profitability in paper, because if you can't do it with paper trading, you damn sure ain't going to do it in live markets either. Okay? But once you go live, don't risk losing no more than 0.5% of your total overall account value on any single trade. 0.5%. You can build up later to 1% to 2%. It's up to you. But start off there. Do not immediately go into the market doing 2% because you are destined to fail if you do. Point blank, period. If you are lacking consistency, I repeat, if you are lacking consistency and you go right into the market risking 2%, you're screwed. To be that blunt, you're screwed. You need to start smaller than that, 0.5%. Because psychologically, you're going to have a hard time handling that if you're hit with some type of losing streak or drawdown. I'm telling you. You might think you can handle it right now while you're watching this video when you're not engaged in the marketplace. Oh, buddy, but it's a whole different storyline when you are in there for real. I'm telling you, because I've been there too. Because I've been there, like in my mind thinking, I can handle it when I was a beginner trader. Oh, I can handle it. I can go up and, trade big. I think I understand that. I would say this to myself. I would say this exact thing. I understand that it's a long-term game. I can handle it if I just keep on executing. So 2%, I'm fine. Yeah, it's a different story when you're actually there and you're actually in the market and you're hit with 1, 2, 3, and you're getting stacked up with these losses with 2%. You got to start to sweat. I'm telling you, 0.5%. Start there. So we've concluded so far. You need to do the back testing. Okay, you need to trade small. You need an edge too. Of course, if you back test, you forward test, you can see if you got an edge. But a lot of folks, they don't even have an edge, right? And that's why they just don't trust their strategy. So if you don't trust your strategy, you don't got the numbers, then you can't. It becomes very difficult to continue to execute it. You need very simple rules too, by the way. This is very important. So many folks overcomplicate trading. I see them on social media. They got like a million different parts of their strategy. And what happens when you have a million different parts of your strategy is you have analysis paralysis. It becomes very difficult to execute because you got so many conflicting signals. You need very simple rules, very little moving parts to your strategy. Okay? Simple systems are best because simple systems are easier to execute. They're easier to stay consistent with. Okay? Because you don't got all these conflicting signals. The simpler your system, the better. Little moving parts. Now to get a little bit deeper into it, because here's the thing. You can do all of that I just said a second ago. The back testing, the trading small, all that. The simple system. And there is a large group of traders that are still going to mess up. They are. There's a big group of traders that are still going to mess up because of what I was just saying a second ago. They are addicted to familiar misery. They're addicted to that. So you can give them they can do the back test. They can have all that. And they're still going to mess up. And that's how you know that you're in that bucket. Because I'm really talking to those traders. Because this issue is more for the group of traders that have done all that. They've done the back testing. All right. They got their system. They know they got an edge, but they still struggle. Because you usually fall in this bucket right here. Familiar misery. How do you overcome that? How do you get over that? Where you just continue to self-sabotage to make the same mistakes. So here's what you need to do. Of course, meditation. Why do you need to meditate? People like to shrug it off, right? That it's not important, but it is important. Every single day before you start trading for the day, just do like 5-10 minutes of meditation. Think of that as like prepping your mind for battle. Because what you're doing when you do that is you're practicing mindfulness, and mindfulness is very important in trading because that is how you're going to overcome the issue that I was just talking about. Because you got to become mindful when it's happening. And if you're not mindful when it's happening, you're going to get overtaken by it. And that's what's happening to you. Okay? Because something happens in there, right? You were doing good. You were doing good, but then you were taken away. You were taken away. You went like on autopilot. You switched off. You switched off. You forgot what you wanted. Like you forgot, okay, I want to be consistent. I want consistent profitability, right? You have all these goals. You have all these dreams like you want to quit your job. You want to retire your family. You want to do all this. But somewhere along the line, you decided, fuck all that. I don't want that. I like my familiar misery better. I'm going to revert back to that. That's what your subconscious was saying. At one point, that's what your subconscious was saying. I want that. I want that. I want to go back to losing fucking money. Sounds crazy, right? But that's what you're doing. That's what you said you wanted. That's what you said you wanted because you did it. If you wanted that, the consistent profitability, you would have stayed the course. But because you went there, you're telling, because your actions don't lie. You said, I want that. You're comfortable there. You're comfortable there. So you need to become mindful in that moment when it's happening, because mindful being, you need to understand when those emotions are arising, whenever you're starting to become uncomfortable, whenever you're starting to try to speed up the process, and you're going to recognize it. By practicing meditation, you're going to recognize it. You're going to observe it. Okay? Because you can't avoid it. It's going to be there. Acting like it's not there is where traders go wrong, and when they go backwards, when they try to act like it's not there, when they try to trade like a robot, as they say, right? That's unrealistic. When you try to ignore the problem, you're going to inevitably fall back into it, and you're just going to stay in this loop of destruction, of self-sabotage. But when you become mindful of it, when you recognize when it's popping up, when you're becoming uncomfortable, when you are starting to slip up, you got to catch yourself and you got to redirect focus. And it's going to be uncomfortable to do that, by the way, but you got to go back and you got to reinforce it. You got to remind yourself about why you do this, why you want to be consistently profitable. Your why, as I say, right? You got to have a strong why. And that's going to be different for everybody. For some folks, it is, they would just want to provide a better life for their family, right? They want their kids to have a better life than they did. You want to quit your job, go full time, retire your family. Whatever those goals are, those goals are only going to be achieved through consistent profitability. It's only going to be achieved through consistently following your plan and slowing yourself down in that moment and reminding yourself of that, of what you really want, resisting that urge. You're going to start to rewire yourself. It takes about a month to build new patterns in your brain. And after about a month of constantly reinforcing that, it's going to start to become your normal. So I'm at that point where it's not an issue for me. I don't have no problem with self-sabotage because I've built these new patterns in my brain. I had the same patterns that a lot of you are having right now with that self-sabotage. I was in the same exact place, but the same process that I'm telling you right here, I did, and I continued to reinforce it. It wasn't an overnight process. I had slip-ups. But I constantly, because I was mindful, I constantly reinforced it, reminding myself of what I really wanted, and I stayed the course. And each and every single time you do that, and you resist the urge, the temptation to go back, you're rewiring yourself. And after about a month, it's going to get easier. And then after another month, it's going to get easier and easier and easier and easier. And before you know it, it's your new norm. You're just following the plan, just like brushing your teeth, It's just something you do. I'm at this point where I don't really even think about it. Like it doesn't take really any willpower for me to follow my plan, to do because I know what I should do. I know I should be following my plan. I just do it because I'm used to that feeling associated with it too. Like I'm proud of myself when I follow my plan, when I'm being disciplined, when I'm doing what I should do. I gravitate to that feeling and I do that. But a lot of you are still stuck in that loop where you're used to familiar misery. It's all you know. So you're just continue to revert back to that. But you got to become mindful and you got to redirect your focus. Each and every single time you start to go back, you got to redirect your focus. Just continue day and hammering it, hammering it, hammering it, hammering it. And guess what? Consistency is the most powerful force in the world. And if you continue to reinforce it, you continue to hammer this down, it's going to start to stick for you. It's going to start to stick. And you're going to start to make strides in the right direction. Okay? To summarize, backtest, trade small, meditate, get that mindfulness. Whenever you start to go off track, you're going to need to bring yourself back. Again, keep your strategy very simple, very little moving parts. You do all that. This is like the finish line for psychology. Like you got to do all that, but a lot of folks, they do all that, they still struggle because what I'm telling you right here, this is where they lose it, and this is where you're going to change it, and this is where you're going to start to make strides in the right direction. With what I just said right there, there's no magic secret. It's a lot of hard work to do that. It's easier said than done, I know, because you've been doing this same thing for so long. You've been these same patterns for so long. So when you start to break out of that, it's uncomfortable. Your brain doesn't recognize it. It's going to naturally want to gravitate back to what's familiar because we like what's familiar. We are creatures of habit. So you're going to break out of that though now because you understand the issue. You understand what's happening now, and you're not going to let that happen anymore, are you? You're not, because you know what you really want. You want that consistency. Whatever dreams that you have, you're only going to get there through being consistent. Okay? That's the only way you're going to get there. And you got to remind yourself of that in those moments. You got to redirect that focus and continue to hammer it. And I promise you, I 100% promise you, it will get easier. The beginning is always the hardest because you're building those new patterns in your brain. That's the hardest part. It's going to be extremely difficult. So prepare for it. But I'm telling you, it's going to get easier. And you're going to start making strides in the right direction once you address this. Okay? If there's anything else that you're struggling with, whether it be whatever it is, with just price action, psychology, comment below and I will answer it. It gives me video lessons, new video ideas to make as well. So anything that you're struggling with, comment below and I'll make some more videos in the coming future, or I could just answer it in the comments as well for you. So don't hesitate. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Good immense value. See you later.